What if you think of legacy as what it means specifically for you and not just in terms of generational wealth? I'd like to welcome Rob Levine to the Design Your Legacy podcast this lovely day. Welcome, Rob.
Thanks for having me, Angelina. I appreciate it.
And you are joining from the lovely area of Puerto Rico, sunny Puerto Rico. So, welcome, welcome.
Yep, I am here from sunny Puerto Rico. I go back and forth between Rhode Island and Puerto Rico. I'm lucky.
Wonderful. Would you share an icebreaker with the listeners and viewers in terms of anything you would like to break the ice with, whether it's professionally or personally? And then we're going to jump into the first question.
Sure, but an icebreaker meaning what?
Oh, why you chose to move to Puerto Rico? Anything? I know I'm putting you on the spot right now, but anything? What's your favorite
No,
color? What makes you human?
I mean, why I chose to move to Puerto Rico would be, I think it happened as a result of an article I read on a plane. So, you know how they have those magazines, although I haven't seen those magazines in the back of plane seats anymore. I think plane carriers are getting cheap. So you read those magazines, and there was an article actually about Puerto Rico. And it was back then, it used to be called Act 20 and 22. Now it's called Act 60. And so basically, under the act, that if you live in Puerto Rico, you're a resident, so 6 months and a day minimum. Although I live here, I'm probably here 9 months, 10 months out of the year. If you live in Puerto Rico, you're a resident and you have a business here. And the source of income that flows into your business is from anywhere outside of Puerto Rico. So the United States or anything worldwide. They waive the taxes that you would normally pay in Puerto Rico, let's say 32%. And under the grant, you only pay 4%.
Hmm.
So on that income, you would pay no federal US tax, you would pay no state tax. So really, the only tax is 4%. So I read that article and I thought there must be a hitch. And there really isn't. It's pretty straightforward. And so that combined with the weather, the culture, the people, super warm, super friendly, the food I love. So it's really just great. I actually lived here when I was 11 years old.
Hmm.
So my father was a college professor, took a sabbatical, taught at the University of Rio Piedras, and we lived here for a year, and I loved it here. So it's actually my return to Puerto Rico.
Oh, that's wonderful. Tú hablas español.
Sí, mucho.
Ah,
Es muy
estudios.
importante porque la lengua de Puerto Rico es español.
Oh, wonderful. Estudio español por 2 años a la Penn State Universidad. Me habla Paquita Buena.
Sí, es muy bien.
Okay, well, we'll jump into the first question then. Okay, so this is a legacy podcast, but you're probably going to talk a little bit about law, and I welcome that because that is a part of your legacy origin story. So you've built a powerhouse brand as the heavy hitter, and every legacy begins with a story. So, what early experiences or defining moments set you on the path to become not just an attorney, but a fighter for justice as well as impact?
So I would say my commitment to helping others really probably started when I was 15. And so I joined a volunteer rescue squad. I lived in Glen Rock, New Jersey, and I became back then it was 5 points, so like advanced first aid, emergency childbirth, defensive driving, CPR. And when I turned 17, I became an emergency medical technician. And so starting to ride on the rescue. At 16, I started riding and really, pulling up to people's houses, pulling up to accidents, helping people, right, who are in dire need of emergency care. Something clicked in me to want to be able to give back. And then from there, I became a military police officer in the U.S. Army Reserve and then the Rhode Island National Guard. I went to college for criminal justice. I became a police officer and then went to law school. So that journey of commitment and community and helping others has been instilled in me for a long time.
Yes. So, when you said riding along, is that in the context of an ambulance?
Right, and a rescue, yeah, an ambulance.
Oh,
Yep.
interesting. Yeah. My husband used to do search and rescue, but that was with the Royal Canadian Air Force
Oh, that's very cool.
as a pilot and
Yeah.
got to see a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure he must have seen a lot. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the heavy hitter, what's the connection regarding that title?
The heavy hitter, I guess, is someone who you can count on to really go to bat for you and who's going to fight the insurance company and who's going to give a voice to the voiceless, and be there for people in their time of need and help make a difference.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like you can get the job done.
For sure.
Yeah, and you're willing to do the heavy lifting.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's great because there's so much. And I'll just share this and we'll go on to the next question. I'm in the middle of getting a trademark for quote legacy planning, and I did have to consult an attorney. I couldn't just do it on my own research. And
I mean, you can, but it's certainly not the easiest path. Like you can go onto the USPTO website, right, and look
mhm.
up the trademarks and see what's there and do the application. But hiring someone is certainly a safer bet.
Yeah, that's the bringing in the heavy hitters. Okay,
Yeah.
so many attorneys define success by case wins and revenue. You've expanded your influence into business leadership as well as philanthropy, and I know that our podcast day was delayed because you did some philanthropy over Thanksgiving, some giving. So when did you realize that legacy, not just worldly success, was the next chapter of your life's work?
So that's a good question. I think, legacy is defined differently for everyone. Probably when I was younger and earlier in my career, it was probably definitely motivated by money and tangible items. But as I grew the business and grew as a person, I think I recognized that I would say there's probably four different areas that legacy means to me. One, of course, is family. One is our clients. One is our team. And then the fourth is community, not in any given order, really. And so leaving a legacy that's going to impact all of those people, right? I mean, obviously my family is very important to me. I have a 24-year-old daughter, I have an 11-year-old daughter, and being able to provide what someone would refer to as generational wealth so that you're taking care of your immediate family and their kids, that certainly is important. Um, Clients. I think we have like 15,000 open cases currently. So those are active clients that we're currently helping today, not past, not closed, active cases. And so to be able to build a law firm or a machine, right, that's going to be able to continue to help more and more clients into the future, help people resolve their issues. And, we do way more than personal injury. We do personal injury, Social Security disability, veterans disability, which of course is very important to me, being a veteran myself. Now we're doing workers' compensation. So we're really helping a lot of people every day, but we couldn't do it without our team. So taking care of our team, right? The law firm alone is now over 300 people. With all the other associated legal solution businesses, we're over 600 people. And we have people in Puerto Rico, we have people in the US. I own companies in Colombia, Peru, we have employees in the Philippines. So we're having a worldwide impact at this point, which is amazing, right? If you asked me about that 10 years ago, I had 100 people in one building. And I thought, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I did. I looked at your website in preparation for today's conversation. I thought, wow, he's leading a large team. I wonder what the backstory, because that's a lot of responsibility. Like with power comes responsibility. Like obviously you have to be ready for that. But I was like, wow, he's leading a team of many individuals.
Yeah, it's crazy. The
Yeah.
law firm, legitimately, just the law firm, none of the other businesses, is already over 300 people, which we just have had massive growth. And that's thanks to all the people we help, right? It's them entrusting us to take care of them, which allows us to continue to grow and help more people.
Yeah, and you must surround yourself with very smart people, I would imagine, in order to make all the teamwork and all the aspects work compared to it feeling like herding cats.
Right. I mean, day one, so it's been 25 years. It was me, and then it was me and one, me and two, me and three, and we've grown steadily. And like one of my first employees, Anna Salis, is still with me. She's been with me now over 24 years. So I'm very fortunate to have hired really, really amazing, talented, and not just talented, but like dedicated, loyal,
Hmm.
right? Caring people, right? People who really follow our mission, our vision, and our values. And it's the difference that we make for others is important to them.
Yeah. So I'm thinking you probably know your niche very well. And so like here, if this is like your industry, you just kind of took it up a level regarding like if I think about basketball, it's like you could dribble and now it's like you're doing other fancy moves regarding
Yeah.
knowing how to multiply the effect you're having, obviously globally, not just like within New Jersey or Rhode Island or wherever your home base is.
Yeah, it's about having the right team, right? So it's people, process, and technology. So if you ask me what is our secret to success, those are really the three things. And in that order, I think
Hmm.
people, our team, comes first. That's the most important part of the success of the law firm. And then process, right? Having a repeatable process that we continue to improve and continue to grow and deliver. And then, of course, technology. And now with the advent of AI, being able to stay at the forefront of that, we've hired really a director of AI and strategy. So her entire job is literally going through the firm, looking at what can we automate, what can we add in AI, how can we continue to plan for the future.
Yeah. And there's a piece that you really believe in what you're doing and serving
I
others.
love what I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
grandmother worked until she was 90. I was actually at my home. My mother still lives in the house I grew up in New Jersey. And I was home with my daughter maybe 2 months ago. We were having a conversation. I said, "Oh yeah, Gran retired at 88." She said, "No, she didn't. She retired when she was 90." And so, yeah, she loved what she did. She moved from Hungary to the United States when she was like 50 years old, and was the American dream for sure. So I have that kind of inbred in me.
Yeah. I'm also just thinking, yes, technology is great. AI is wonderful. But there is a vision somewhere where, like, if I refer back to that basketball metaphor, that you could take it to that higher level.
Yeah, I mean, there's no ceiling from my perspective, right? It's continuing to grow, evolve, and figure out better ways to do it. I mean, we're always looking at our process. We're always trying to improve and grow.
Yeah. I just bring that up because it's more than just work.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a passion for it. I agree. There's no question. I truly love what I do for lots of reasons. I mean, I love taking care of people, so I love helping the clients. I love taking care of our team. So yeah, it's meaningful.
Yeah. Well, I'm just, before I go on to the next question, if you were to say to me, oh, if you've got 300 legacy planners working underneath you, that is like vision. I don't have 300 legacy planners working underneath me right now, but that would be like, I think the depth of what could be possible and making a ripple effect out there. And I know you can say, well, law has always been around, but yet to bring that, like to have 300 or more people or 15,000 open cases, I think you said, or 15,000 clients.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a ripple effect.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's no small
Yeah.
peanuts.
No, definitely not. Not
Yeah,
small peanuts.
yeah. You're
Yeah.
like a giant, like a titan of your
I
industry
don't know
in that
about
sense.
that, but we're doing pretty well.
Yeah. So what does legacy mean to you?
I mean, so legacy is really right. Family, it's team, it's clients and community. So that when
Okay.
I'm no longer here, right, we've created something that lives on.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that the law firm can continue to help clients, support my family, continue to support our current um, team members, but hopefully they bring in their family to work for us, right? And so as it's become a home for me and a home for our existing team, I want that home to expand to their families, right? So just like you see when I was a police officer, you see very common in law enforcement, right? It's the grandfather, the father, the son or the daughter,
Sure. The same
and
in the
it's
military.
right. It's
Yeah.
generational. I would love to see that happen, right? In the law firm, where the law firm becomes a place that's generational growth for our team members. That would be amazing. So
Yeah.
all of that is legacy. And then, of course, the community being able to give back, right? So you said we were delayed at Thanksgiving. We fed 750 people this year for Thanksgiving.
You're talking about individuals that were homeless or without a meal or, yeah,
Someone
which is
in need.
marvelous.
They don't have to be homeless, but so we buy, we partner with Shaw's and Shaw's, we buy the food from Shaw's ourselves. And then we don't have any sponsors. And so then I give the entire staff off the day for everyone who's local and can drive to the office. We pack up all the food in 2 bags. So a turkey, stuffing, potatoes, vegetables, rolls, a pumpkin pie, and then we deliver it to their homes. So we use about 10 different agencies. So my staff delivered this year to about 300 homes, 350 homes, and then the agencies pick up the food and deliver it to other people. So as a team, a community resource, we fed a total of 750 people, which is phenomenal.
So that's wonderful. So is Shaw's a grocery store?
Shaw's is a grocery store, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Why care?
Why what?
Why care?
Why care?
Yeah. Why do you care to do and to
Oh,
serve on
oh, why do
regarding?
I care?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for all the people that have believed in me,
Okay.
right? And helped me and our law firm get to where we are. So the need to give back and to help others is just something that's been instilled in me in a long time. When I was 13 years old, I was in seventh grade. I got kicked out of public school. So I was a troubled youth, and basically not invited to return at the end of seventh grade. And so I got put in a private school, which was 6 kids in a class. I had a van driver, Mr. Manville. So Vietnam vet, 6'6", 350 pounds, monster. And he was my van driver and history teacher. His best friend was my English teacher, who was also a Vietnam vet. And so Mr. Manville recognized the direction I was going, which let's just say was not a great direction, and helped me turn my life around. Like he literally took me under his wing. I went to his house after school. He taught me how to study. He taught me how to play sports. Like, right, exactly, heart. And so just a million different things he did to change my life. And so I was there for only 2 years. My parents couldn't really afford the private school, and the public school let me back in. And so that's when I joined the volunteer ambulance corps. And
Mm.
I think that effect that he had on me, someone, a total stranger, he's a teacher, but he still didn't have to spend the time and energy he put into me. Making a difference in my life made me want to help others.
Yeah, it's so altruistic. I bring it up. Tony Robbins feeds a lot of individuals on Thanksgiving, but it was because somebody showed up on his doorstep, even though I think at that time his stepfather wanted to turn the meal away. But it left such a lasting impression on Tony Robbins that he thought, wow, how could a stranger bring a turkey to my doorstep? And I think he was like 13, or I don't remember the details of the exact story, but
Yeah, he feeds a lot of people.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
very.
went to one of his live events in the Meadowlands in New Jersey. It was pretty amazing.
Did you walk across the hot
I
coals?
did walk across the coals. I thought to myself, oh, there's no way this can be real. And the closer you get and you feel the heat, you start to recognize, wow, this is the real thing. And then you do the mantra and you go,
Yeah, yeah, I walked across it and I said cool moss. And afterwards I said, I can't believe I just did that. I should have like fourth degree burns or something.
right? You would think you'd be burnt. It's mind-boggling.
Oh my. Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, you've supported veterans, local communities, and numerous charities. How do you decide where to give? And how do you measure the impact of your giving? Or what is your legacy vision? I know that's like three questions in one, but I think the answers are important and I can slow it down.
Yeah, so it's a really good question, and it's a question I just asked someone the other day. So I'm on the board of the May organization. So we help the homeless or unhoused. We provide food and we provide clothing. And so we're looking for a new director, and I interviewed somebody. Um, the day before yesterday. And she has a really strong background, but her background is in youth. And so a lot of the last 15 years, she's been in nonprofit her whole life, is helping children. And
Hmm.
so I said, if your true passion is helping children, why is it that you want to be the director of the May organization? Because while indirectly, of course, we help children, but we're not really feeding and clothing a lot of children. It's mainly adults. And so she had a great answer, which is, right, it's while children has been her focus, really the big picture is community and making a difference and just being there for anyone who's in need. And so the opportunity for what we provide and what she's looking for really just align and isn't necessarily that population because it's the same for me. If you asked me, what would be, if I could do anything I want to be able to help and give back, what would it be? It would probably be children, right? Because of the
Mm,
story that I just gave you, right, of
mm.
Mr. Manville helping me. And we do, like this past summer, and for the last, I think this is our ninth year, we give away 1,000 backpacks. So we take over a park and we have the Rob Levine Family Fun Fest, and we have stilt walkers, and we have jugglers, and we have face painters, and food and music. And at that event, like 3 hour event, we give away 1,000 backpacks. And so we're growing it this year. We're advertising all over Massachusetts now, and we just made a deal with the Woo Sox. So the Woo Sox are the AAA baseball team for the Red Sox in Boston, Massachusetts. So, as part of our deal with the Woo Sox, we're advertising in the stadium and doing a lot of things with them. They're going to give us the stadium for a day at no cost for our nonprofit piece to give backpacks away. So, next summer, we'll be running that event in Rhode Island and in Massachusetts at the Woo Sox Stadium. So, I'm super excited.
Yeah, that's so heartwarming because you're bringing joy and happiness, and it'll
Right.
come back tenfold.
Yeah, I I would think it probably will, but that's not really why we do it, right?
I
It's
know.
not for the return. I mean, I guess it is for the return, but the return is more to fill my soul than it is for the way other people ask me, like, so what's the financial return? I'm like, I don't really know. I don't measure it that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Well, I think it's great. And I bring up that question because sometimes when somebody has a huge amount of success, more than maybe they grew up with, I mean, I've sat across from people at meals and they've said, gosh, is this all that there is? And I always want to like give them answers, but people have to find the answers on their own for them to
right.
own it and to connect and attach to that meaning.
100%. And so to go back to your question, which is who or why. So, for instance, we also another part of our giving back is we give away free rides 7 holidays a year. So I built an app called the Rob Levine app. And so if you download our app, you can download either an Uber or Lyft certificate for a free ride home from a bar. So to prevent drunk driving, if you're at a bar, you can get a free ride home using our app. And so clearly a completely different population that we're helping, right? So we're helping the unhoused, we're helping people with backpacks, we're helping people with drunk driving, we're helping people just in need that need food, like a huge different group of populations.
Or those that aren't going to fall through the cracks.
Yeah,
If there's like
absolutely.
one slip up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And there's some statistic these days that 1 out of 8 Americans are going without a meal. And I'm
it's
thinking, wow.
crazy, right?
Yeah. And
In the United States.
in the United States.
Right.
So bless you for doing what you're doing. Even this
Thanks.
idea, even the idea of allowing someone to tap into this app and get a ride home, like you had said, from a bar. Like even I'm thinking of like a woman, let's say it doesn't work out regarding her date and she's got to get home and she's in a vulnerable position. I mean, there's 10,000 scenarios, but even the fact that you just put that out into the universe is, yeah, a gift.
Right. Yeah. So we run a mastermind group. Law firms belong to my mastermind group. It's called Legal Ascend. So, we don't really make a lot of money based on all the costs that we have, but I do it because I like to give back to the legal community and help law firms grow. So we are just offered the app that I designed for our law firm to all of our members for free.
Hmm.
So they'll be able to whitelist it and use it in their community. So what's amazing for me is, right, the population where I am who gets to use the app and have a free ride home to prevent drunk driving will now expand through all the law firms who belong to our group, and it'll start getting used all over the country, which is super cool.
Yeah. Oh, I feel so lucky to be sitting across from you right now. Are there any other stories that you could share that uh, put you in a position? Sometimes people call it an inciting moment. It could be like a car accident or something, or someone close to you passes away. It could be positive or negative, but had you rethink your priorities in shaping your legacy vision? Or was it the, go ahead.
So I mentioned I was a police officer, and so this was definitely not my planned career, what you see now, right? So I
Wait,
was in,
in Rhode Island or in
right,
Jersey?
yeah, yeah, in Rhode Island, in a city called
Okay.
Central Falls.
Okay.
And so I was an MP. got my degree in criminal justice, and then I started applying to large police departments around the country. So I was living in New Jersey. I went back to my parents' house after college. I applied to New York City, Miami, Dallas, Los Angeles. So in Los Angeles, I got hired. If you live more than 150 miles outside of the city, they let you fly in and test you in 5 days. At least that was the way it was back then. I don't know if it still is. So everything is only just pass or fail, except for the oral board is scored. So I got 100 points on the oral board. They gave me 5 points for military service. So I had the highest score you could get. And so I'm in the process. I'm waiting for my academy date. And then they had a hiring freeze because of financial needs. And so I'm now kind of in limbo. And so I was in Rhode Island visiting friends from college, and there was a tiny little ad for this police department, Central Falls Police. And so I figured I had a teacher in college named Lois Wims, and she was the first female police officer in Central Falls. And she used to tell crazy stories. So Central Falls back in the 80s, before I was there, was in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most densely populated city in the country. So it was like, including illegal aliens, like 29,000 people in 1 square mile. That's all Central Falls is, 1 square mile. Imagine 29,000 people. It was crazy. And so I went to the city hall, and I don't remember. I think I was in like very casually dressed, hadn't shaven. I was just on vacation. And I went there to pick up an application, and this woman hands me a single sheet of paper. And I said, "Oh, do I fill that out and you mail me the application?" Because Los Angeles and all the other cities, they're huge stacks of paper, right? She goes, "No, that's our application. This is like a Walmart application, two-sided piece of single sheet of paper." So I fill it out and I hand it back to her. And she stands at the counter reading it. So it says, right, I was an EMT, I was on a rescue squad. It says that I went to college. I did an internship in the United States Marshal Service, an internship for the Newport Police Department, blah, blah, blah. And she said, "Is all this true?" And I said to her, "Yes." And she said, "And you live in New Jersey? You drove here from New Jersey to apply?" And so I told her the story. I'm like, "No, I was visiting friends from college. I went to Salve Regina, and I had a professor. Oh my God, I know Lois Wim," she said. She says, "Her husband's still a police officer." I said, "Oh, I didn't know that." She said, "Well, I'm V. Faria," and shakes my hand. She's the personnel director for the city. She said, "So we're hiring 3 police officers, and we're doing it in the next 6 weeks. So it's really accelerated because we want to get them into the next academy. So I'll call you, give you directions, blah, blah, blah." So I go to the interview. It's the chief and the mayor. Well, I walk in. They say, "Have a seat." It's very calm. Los Angeles, imagine it's a board. People are screaming at you. It was insane. They said, "We only have one question for you." And I'm thinking, this is going to be interesting. And I said, "Okay." And they said, "Do you plan on going to law school?" And I looked like my dog. Like, it gets confused when it turns its head and looks at you like, "What are you doing?" And so I look at them and they can tell I'm confused. And so they're like, "Well, if you're a police officer in Rhode Island, we have to pay for you to go to law school." And I said, "Had no idea." But now, of course, I'm immediately thinking my goal was to be a federal agent. So that was my goal. So I went to college for a year, failed out. I took a year off, and a friend from Europe came over, and I took him to Washington, D.C., and we toured Washington, D.C., and we took a tour of the FBI building. And I thought to myself, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, right? So my first year of college was just a mess. I had no idea what I wanted. I didn't really do well. I took the year off. I worked as a substance abuse counselor in a detox. I talked my way into that job. I had lots of personal life experience with people, myself, whatever. And so I'm standing in the FBI building and I'm thinking, this is what I want to do. And so then I went to college for the criminal justice. And then I figured I'll be a police officer because you need experience to become an FBI agent, or you could have a law degree or a specialized degree, science, something else. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I can get my law degree, get my experience as a police officer. This will be perfect. So they hired me and I started. In my 7th year, I had a serious car. I'm almost through law school now, so I'm a senior in law school. and I'm responding to a call, and I had a serious car accident, which put me in therapy for a year.
Physical
And so,
therapy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that ended my career. I have two herniated discs in my back. So at the end of a year, the three different orthopedic surgeons, the city had me evaluated, and basically said, you could have surgery and you have a 50% chance of returning to work and a 50% chance of not being able to return and not being any better and potential of obviously being worse. And I said, yeah, I'm not having back surgery. So it's not like back surgery today. Remember, we're talking, this was 25 years ago. So not as high a success rate as it is today, much more invasive. And so that was it. I retired and then became a finished law school, passed the bar, became a lawyer. So I would say that was a huge life altering incident, right? That changed the entire course of my life, my career, everything.
Yeah, it's very interesting. If I think about the question regarding rethinking your priorities, there's like this theme of like you keep getting back up in life and you keep trying. So it's like if one door closes and you get kicked out of school, then you go to private school and then you meet these like two Vietnam veterans and then another door opens and then another door opens and then the LA Police Department, LAPD, that door closes. Then you end up in Central Falls. It's like there's this theme of you keep getting back up and keep trying and then it's like I don't know, I mean, I'm not, this is not a spiritual podcast, but it's like God just keeps opening up different doors. And it's like, you're going to learn something here, like a little nugget of knowledge or wisdom. And then another door opens. It's like, it reminds me of like Mario Brothers, and you're like on this path. And
Yeah.
maybe the
That's a
Nintendo.
lesson I'm trying to teach to my a lesson I'm trying to teach to my 11-year-old at the moment. Grit. That's not an easy thing to teach. Like my 24-year-old is like my mini me. Like
Mm.
she's a trauma ICU nurse. And so she's only 24. She's already been a nurse for 3 years. She did 2 years in an emergency room and then switched to the trauma ICU. She wants to be a flight nurse. Like she knows what she wants. She's driven. She's literally my clone. And then my 11-year-old is like, flitting around, the birds, the bees, and every hardship that she hits is like the end of the world.
Oh,
Like
she's
she doesn't know.
sensitive.
Yes, oh, very. Yes, very. So it's been an experience raising my other daughter, which was easy because she's me. And then my younger daughter, it's quite the experience trying to figure out how to get her to understand that it's okay to fail. You just got to get back up and try again. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, there's something about when the rug gets pulled out from under us that it's like you got to rebalance and restabilize. And I don't know if that could also be like if you ever did wrestling. Obviously, I think about gymnastics because I did gymnastics growing up for a couple of years. It's like if something happens on the balance beam, you got to get back up, find your balance again. Because life is going to pull that rug out from under you, often, especially if you're growing, it's going to test you. Like you had said, life is going to throw its tests at you. Like, what is your
100%.
your medal?
Right.
Mettle. Yeah.
Yeah. Life
Yeah.
is not easy, which is what I keep trying to explain to her. Life is hard, and that's just the way it's going to be, and it's going to be that way for the rest of your life. But enjoying the journey, right? And taking away the lessons from when you don't get it right the first time, knowing if you get back up and you try, you're going to get it right. Maybe not the
Hmm.
second, maybe not the third, but you will master every one of those lessons. So if you can see the success when the failure occurs,
Hmm.
that's what drives, well, that's what drives me.
Yeah, that's great. How old were you again when you got kicked out of public school? 11 or 13?
Seventh grade, I was 13,
13. And how old is your second daughter right now?
which is 11.
Okay, well, she's still in that zone regarding receiving like that positive imprint of like, well, when the rug gets pulled out from under you and the world that you know completely changes, you're going to be okay and stronger and smarter for it.
Yep,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. You're going to meet someone new. Okay, and I know these questions are very personal, so thank you for entertaining and honoring them because legacy is very personal. And so, okay, here's the next question about the purpose behind the persona. So publicly, you're known for being bold and relentless, which is probably a very key asset as an attorney, even though some attorneys also do well by being empathetic, especially if they do trial work, etc. Privately, the question is what drives you or what inner purpose or belief gives meaning to everything you are building and have built.
I mean, it's obviously all of the things we talked about. And it's interesting. I had dinner for the first time with the president of our board from May organization, and it was just me and her. And so how you said I forget how you described me, but basically hard edge and driven. And you said some people are empathetic. And so
Oh, bold and relentless.
bold and relentless. Yeah. And so she said to me after dinner and really starting to get to know me, she goes, when I first met you, she didn't use the words bold and relentless, but basically said, I really thought you were bold and relentless. You're difficult. You say exactly what you think. There's never a question. You're very transparent and you're hard on people, but you push people to get to where they need to be and where you want this organization to be. But now sitting down with you and listening to you and talking to you, I realize you really have a soft side. There's a tremendous amount of empathy and caring, and there's a whole other side to you. Why don't you show that first? And I said,
Hmm.
just my nature. It's how I'm built.
Yeah. Well, I think to have done well, even if your career as a police officer didn't continue because of that car accident, I
Right.
think that in order for you to have survived and thrived in the industries that you've done well in, you that no nonsense persona and personality and mindset was a strength. And yet you've got such a heart. In fact, one of the things I wrote down was about you've seen the beauty in people, and perhaps that was those two Vietnam veterans. So because you've seen the beauty in people, you could give beauty.
Right.
And I say beauty not like in terms of nail polish
No,
or
of
hair
course.
salons. I mean beauty like of altruism, beauty in seeing the glasses half full, beauty in terms of giving to someone that other people might step over or forget about, or the individuals that someone could deem the dregs of the coffee cup.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that if you look deep enough, most people have that beauty inside them. I think that as a culture, we are very protective of ourselves. People put up walls, they're afraid to show it. They think they can get further by being bold and relentless. But I think if you don't mix the other piece with it and really give and take care of people and show that side of you, you miss a huge part of what really life is all about.
Yeah. I had a conversation this morning about how it's not just about the money. It's not just in the context of legacy. It's about the relationships and what do you do for others. And money, while we need it in order to survive, it's like this illusion that we're sold if, you know, unless it's like we're just going to stay trapped in greed and fear. I'm not probably saying it as good as I could in terms of the conversation earlier today. But anyways, okay, well, thank
It's
you.
also your relationship with money, right? So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think money is amazing. Um, but it's not that money gives you happiness, it gives you options. And the
Hmm.
question is, what do you do with those options, right? So I don't have to do all the things that we do to help others, but that gives me pure joy, right? So
Hmm.
that option, having the option to help other people really drives me to grow bigger because people ask me all the time, I live a good life. Obviously, I make more than I ever thought I would, obviously, as a police officer or a federal agent. And so why do I keep driving to grow? When is enough enough? I hear that all the time. When is enough enough? And the answer is never. And it's not because I have to hit the next milestone based on just money. It's about having the option to do what I want to do for other people, for my team, my family, for whoever I want to be able to take care of, which just made me think of something really interesting. So I had the same hairdresser until I moved to Puerto Rico, which at that point was probably 20 years. And so even when I moved to Puerto Rico, I would go home to see her for at least the first year I was here because I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm going to have someone else cut my hair. The same person's been cutting my hair 20 something years. And so we were talking, and she says, you're a collector. I said, what the hell does that mean? And she said, you don't ever let go of anyone and you take care of everyone. She said, people that you don't even have relationships with, you still help them and you still reach out to them and you still take care of people. She said, I've never met anyone like that. She said, even your exes, like my daughter's mother, my 24-year-old's mother. So, I mean, wanted to come to Rhode Island for Thanksgiving. She moved to Florida. She has some definite issues that prevent her from coming. And I said to my daughter, tell mom that I'll pay for her flight and pay for the hotel and do whatever it needs to do, which I don't have to, certainly. And I've been offering that for years, and she takes me up on it sometimes and not others. And so I don't know, being able to give back to whoever, however, is why enough is never going to be enough.
Well, I think there's something about personal development, and you're like growing to the next capacity and the next capacity in the momentum. And I was thinking also about this idea of like if people are trapped in life, if you give them a backpack, you get to untrap them, even if it's just for a moment in time. Because humans are brilliant, but if they're trapped, it's like the worst behavior can come out of them. But if you can untrap them for a moment, for a day, for a
Right.
lifestyle, then you're, it's like,
100%.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I haven't had this thought in a long time. And for some reason, it literally just popped in my head. When I was probably 20, I was just out of college. I wasn't a police officer yet, or maybe even a senior in college. And I worked all through college. I always worked. I worked since I was 13 years old. My mother's cousin passed away, and she lived in Florida. And so, for whatever reason, my father didn't come. It was just me and my mother. And so we went to bury her and to clean out her apartment. And we were standing at the funeral or at the cemetery. And so it was literally just me and my mother. And I could tell that the people at the cemetery felt bad. It's just the two of us. So other workers from the cemetery, all like grave diggers, people from the front desk, all came and just stood with us so that it wasn't just the two of us. And I thought to myself, like I had never met that woman, my mother's cousin. I had no idea who she was or what kind of life she lived. But I remember standing there thinking to myself, when I go, I don't want to be this alone. Like, what went wrong in this person's life that there's no one here for her, that she didn't have an impact on, that didn't want to say goodbye to her? And so I guess that had an effect on me because I literally didn't think of it until just now.
Oh, that's interesting. It takes tremendous courage to give, whether it's those backpacks or feeding 750 people, because sometimes people stay in scarcity no matter the amount of money that they have, and they can't even spend on brand new kitchen cabinets. And then to take that leap of faith and say, I'm going to give even if I don't understand the ripple effect or the influence or the impact is courageous.
Yeah, I guess. I never really looked at it that way, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could give advice to any other, let's say, high performer out there, because I would definitely consider you a high performer, and many successful individuals struggle to think beyond that present moment or their next short-term goal. What advice would you give to those who've built wealth or influence but haven't yet designed any legacy plans?
I would think about first what is important to them from the definition of legacy and express that you should think of legacy as more than just wealth. Like, if you're a high performer, wealth is easy to create. So that's not really the primary goal. It's going to come no matter what. If you're a high performer, wealth is going to come, right? If you
Hmm.
work hard, if you do the same thing that you need to do every day, you get up and you just drive forward, you're going to generate wealth if that's what you're looking to do in your business. But if you can think beyond that and think about what it really means to you, such for me, it's right family, it's team, it's community, clients, decide how you want to be remembered, how you want to leave an impact, what you want to do for others, what you want to accomplish, and make that part of your plan.
Yeah. What I like about your four prong, it's like it reminds me of like an airplane that goes like 3D. So it's not just family, but it's like team, client, community, and I just see this like airplane like being able to not just be two-dimensional, but going 3D. I don't
Right.
know, that image just comes to my mind. Do you have a hard stop in a couple of minutes just to check
No,
in? Okay,
I'm
great.
good.
Okay. If your grandchildren or the next generation of attorneys were to summarize your legacy in one sentence, what would they say? Or what would you hope that they would say?
I would hope that they would say he always put others before himself.
Hmm. Okay.
I think, you know, if I always took, I mean, when I was younger, I was probably much more selfish than I am today because I just didn't have the journey that I've been through at this point in my life. I've done a lot of things, a lot of therapy, a lot of different. I went to a psilocybin program for a week in Jamaica. So, you know what psilocybin
I
is, right?
do.
So,
I
yeah,
do.
so I did
Yeah.
that for, yeah. So I've done, I mean, I've done lots of different things to be able to let go of pain from the past, expand and open up for the future, figure out who I should really be and taking care of other people, putting other people's thoughts, needs before myself. That's what I would like to be remembered for.
Yeah. There's also something brilliant about your the story you just shared because you processed whatever it is you needed to process to get out, to the other side. Yeah, so that those moments didn't define you. Because
Right.
sometimes people can stay frozen in grief.
Yeah, I carried a lot of anger for a long time and was very closed off. And that first time I did psilocybin, I felt like I was going to war, like trying to let go of the grief, the anger, the pain. It was not an easy session. And then after that, it got better. And so, yeah, I mean, life's a journey. Everything we do is a journey about growing.
Yeah, and I bet you changed your family tree in terms of what you processed, because sometimes
Uh,
people that have come before us don't have the tools or they don't have the emotional intelligence, and that's not labeling them as dumb or anything like that. It's just different generations. Even like when I've interviewed my own parents for 10 or 11 hours, my dad made a comment to me. He's like, I would have never asked these questions to my parents. And I'm like, well, there's a first for everything. But I'm also kind of a different generation than if he thinks
right.
about probably his parents, and they had lived through the Depression up in Massachusetts and so forth, and very, stiff.
Yeah. My parents were the same. Yeah. Very different than me.
Yeah, but yet these are the moments that if you can bring forth, and it's like, well, how did you process them? Because as you had said, even with your second child right now, difficulties are still going to come. We're still going to be tested. And then it's how did you work through that? How did you come out the other side? So that just didn't have the weight to just crush you, but rather to transform you.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree.
What do you think are your 3 or 4 top core values? And I hope that your 2 children get to listen to this podcast one day.
My top core values.
3 or 4.
Um, Core values would probably be number one is taking care of self, right? Because if you don't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of others. And so that's a holistic approach, right? So that's health, mental, it's everything. And so I used to probably not take great care of myself. Like I would work really hard, but I wasn't always focused on taking care of my mental health, taking care of physical, like I was driven, but I wasn't really looking at the big picture, which is definitely something I've learned for sure. And it's changed who I am. And so then I would say next core value is for sure taking care of others
Mm,
and being able to give back, make a difference, help people achieve, right, the best version of themselves. I think, people often hold themselves back from where they could be, right? Just because they don't know how to take the next step. I gave somebody the most simple advice maybe 2 weeks ago. They were stuck and didn't know what to do and had been in a rut for a long time. I said, listen, it's as simple as this. And I said to them, stand up and just put one foot in front of the other. Are you balanced? Yes. I said, okay, take a step, but just move one foot now in front of the other. And if you can think of life as basic as that, it's just about forward motion. I said, it doesn't matter if that step leads to anything great. It doesn't even matter if that step fails. I said, as long as you keep trying to move forward, I said, that's going to get you to where you need to be. And you can identify, like, if you asked me even 5 years ago, where am I going to be now? I would not have come close to the mark. So you never know where it's going to end up, but it's certainly just about continuing to make forward progress for you, your family, people around you.
yeah. Very cool. Okay, so far we have taking care of yourself, taking care of others, one foot in front of the other, and then is there a fourth core value?
I would say it's probably the point of why we're here, right? It's about legacy. It's about leaving a mark and making a difference that lasts beyond me. So I'll be here 90 something years. My grandmother lived to like 93. My other grandmother lived to 94. My father passed at 94. My mother's 87. She still drives. She still shops. I'm lucky, knock on wood. I don't get hit by a bus. I should live into my 90s. Who knows? Maybe I'll hit 100. And so they say each generation should live longer than the last. Um, but that's a very short time if we think about life and big picture in general, right? 100 years isn't that long. And so I want to know that when I'm no longer here, that everything I've worked so hard to create for others continues. That it's like a snowball, and I want that snowball to keep growing.
Very cool. Very cool. They say that these days, the more we are in service to others versus service to self, that's like the thing that will extend our years. I don't know who said it, but it's kind of an energetic thing, I guess, since the Mayan 2012. I don't know if it's true or not. It's just what I've heard. Okay. Okay, if you were to set aside a weekend or two a month to design your hardcover coffee table book, what images, stories, best practices, life lessons would fill its pages?
Oh God. So that's probably my next journey is to put time aside to do something like that because I don't really put a lot of time aside to take care of those kinds of things. Um, although I went skiing for a couple of days when I went home for Thanksgiving, so that was nice. I had a couple of days of completely downtime. So what would be in the book? Um, so are we talking about memories or what are we really talking about?
It's the book that your two daughters will receive a copy of and their grandchildren, and on and on. The reason this question comes up is individuals can have hardcover coffee table books of architects and fashion designers and on and on. And then it begs the question, well, why isn't there a book for your family? And a part
Right.
of it
So
is, well, then they've got to be the pioneer, then they've got to be reflective, and then they've got to believe that they're worthy, because self-worth comes up a lot in designing a legacy because
yeah,
people have this presumption or illusion that one has to be perfect. And it's not that they have to be perfect at all. They just have to show up. And going back to Tony Robbins, he said 51% of success is just showing up.
showing up. Right. Yeah. When my daughter was 16, I took her on vacation to the Grand Canyon. And so I think the book would probably open up with pictures of that trip because that just shows how much bigger life is than we are or we could imagine, right?
Mm.
Going through like Antelope Canyon, which is near the Grand Canyon, right? That those amazing scenes of the rocks and the colors and the light coming through. And then, of course, the Grand Canyon. And we went horseback riding. We did the mule around or the mules around the rim of the canyon. Like it's amazing the shape of the world that we live in and what we take for granted every day and don't really think about that really exists out there, so big beyond our own horizons. So I would probably start the book with the beauty of the world we live in, and certainly something that my older daughter and I shared together. And I plan to do the same trip with the 11-year-old when she gets a little older. And from there, I don't know, I would fill it with some of the amazing memories I've had, some that I've shared with my family, some that I've shared with the team, right? So I'm just had our holiday party in the United States 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow night, I have our holiday party in Puerto Rico. I'm leaving for the Philippines in the beginning of January. I have one party in Manila, one in Cebu. Then I'm going to Bogota, Colombia, and then Lima, Peru. And so I'm so excited to see all of those people in person, right? And share the joy with them together. So I can't wait to take the photos and put all of that together of what we've accomplished and what we're going to accomplish, right? So, and then of course, at the community events, I'd fill it with all of the stuff and the differences that we've made in people's lives, right? So that simple hug that you get when you're dropping food off at someone's house, and what a difference something as simple as that we take for granted every day, eating a healthy meal that for them, they wouldn't have had a Thanksgiving meal if it wasn't for us. So I definitely want my legacy of family to remember those moments and hope they carry that forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's something about a hardcover coffee table book. Not only does it reflect the memory of your life, but it also, I think, addresses like, how do you do life? Because if someone gets lost one day for whatever reason, and they've got to go to this moment of like, well, where are my roots? Or what do I stand for? Or what did Rob stand for? And then you're like appreciating the beauty of this world. And here's
Right.
the example. Here's how you do it.
Yeah. Here's how you do it. The
Yeah,
roadmap to success.
because people can sometimes, if life becomes overwhelming, like you're referring to someone you were speaking to and you're telling them to put one foot in front of the other, sometimes if challenges feel too big, people sometimes just need to be reminded.
Yeah, that's very true. We all need reminders. It's easy to lose sight of the path that we're on and get distracted.
What is a good website before I close this out?
So it's my name, roblevine.com.
Wonderful. Wunderbar. I want to say thank you for being a guest, and I'm going to circle back to the intention that we set at the beginning of today's episode, which was what if you think of your legacy as what it means for you specifically and individually, not just as generational wealth, which is that common thought, especially when somebody has success and they've come across a lifestyle that allows them to even think about generational wealth. But it's so much more than that, like you have shared regarding the stories and the journey that you've been on. Plus, what I might call life lessons. And I just want to say thank you to those two Vietnam veterans that influenced you as a 13-year-old, because I think that was a pivotal moment in your journey. And anyways, so I just wanted to say I think we have fulfilled that business promise of thinking about legacy through a number of examples that you have shared. That money gives you options, but it's really, you talk about, what I spoke about. If you think of legacy individually, I spoke about this airplane going 3D because you've got this four-part framework: family, team, client, community. And so it's not just like this one-dimensional aspect, but it's about that airplane being able to do different moves and covering all bases. So thank you for being a guest today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to you've surprised me because I normally think, oh, it's an attorney, and that's not but that's just because sometimes attorneys are bold and relentless, but yet you're a full human being, so it's always nice to be surprised.
I'm glad I surprised you.
Okay, well, it's been a beautiful conversation, so okay, I'm going to stop thanking you and close this out now. Okay, in closing, I'm Angelina Carleton, the hostess of the Design Your Legacy podcast, as well as the founder to Legacy Planning, a boutique coaching and advisory firm based out of Beverly Hills, California, USA, but international in those I get to consult. I hope to dive deep into subjects that can help a person define, develop, and execute their legacy and continue to scour the landscape for those who can be great resources to every dimension of your legacy. For many listeners or viewers, there can never be enough education and preparation in the mood or moat around your castle. Whether you find yourself with new wealth or generational wealth, may the content on this channel be an anchor in any storms ahead. We do our best to provide original content for your intellectual and emotional curiosity. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you're tuning in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, etc., please remember to rate and review, share with your family and friends. And if you feel so inclined, send an email to either Rob or myself and let us know your thoughts about today's conversation. So thank you so much for joining us this week. And thank you, Rob, for speaking into your legacy.